and it's a difficult thing when you're trying to. Now you got different elements of your life that you didn't have before, like family. You try to have relationships. You know, eventually everybody get married and have girlfriends because that's the main thing you dream about and fantasize about while you're in prison. Of course, is the relationship thing, right? So you want to have a relationship, but what you don't realize and don't understand is the stuff that you're gonna come with is all the stuff, all them years of being hurt, being sad, being depressed, being unheard, being abandoned, all that energy, all that tension you come with. And it's an insecurity there when you come out and try to deal with relationships and people because you've been alone for so long. You've been without that for so long, without the feminine component. You've been out without that for so long, and then you want that. You get that. You're like, then you find yourself want to be alone and with somebody at the same time. And it's confusing. And when you try to express that or explain that to somebody else, they can't relate to you. They don't understand that. More confusion, right? So Exoneree has a lot of emotional steps to get up to just to get to some normalcy. Like, it's not even about being fixed or being whole. It's about just finding a place in your life where you can feel like you don't have to watch your back or feel any tension in your nervous system and just be free. And there's so many different elements. So we try to address all those different needs of an exoneree once they come home. And this is the only organization, by the way, but that does that. Like, it's a lot of organizations. We grateful for all these organizations, by the way, like Centurion Ministries in Princeton, New Jersey, to help both of us get out. But we are the only organization that's exoneree led that adds that aftercare component to our organization. It's very, very important too, because we both went through and we want to be there, but exonerees go through so many different things. We exonerated a guy, Keith Corns. He got exonerated because of miracle of innocence, and yet you never heard of him because he didn't want to. By his wishes, he didn't want us to talk about it. He didn't want us to use his name. That was it had to be part of some trauma. Think about it. The organization got him out of prison.
Oh yeah.
So if you really think about that dynamic or that situation, he needs counseling. He needs something that's going to help him understand miracle of innocence versus the people who put him in the situation. We had to come get him out of there. We went inside of the prison to get this man out. And once he got out, no one understood what that felt like Darryl and I. That's why we do it. That's why we understand the need of exonerees once they come home. That's why Miracle of Innocence is there to not only assist them to get out of prison, but also to help maintain a sense of normalcy and help them to transition good once they get out.
Yeah, I mean, and we raise the money, to help people get out. We raise the money, and it's pretty expensive, hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was $350,000 to get me out, probably the same to get Lamont out, and that's what we raised to try to get the next person out. And I even asked Centurion when they got me out. I said, "Man, y'all spent that much money to get me out?" He said, "Yeah, Darryl. What can you put on a human life? How much you think you're worth?" So. And we don't owe that back. It's not like it's a loan and you have to return it once you get out and get on your feet. No, that's that is not even how they operate. That's not how Miracle of Innocence operate. Once we help somebody get out, you owe us nothing. So Keith Corns, whoever, go on with your life. Have a good life. We just glad you out.
Yeah.
But we also know that you're gonna need some support when you get out, because it's going to run into some situation where you're going to have some emotional challenges, especially, as the mom was saying, you're in relationships, and not just relationship with women, but relationship with jobs. On the job, you got to deal with, co-workers. If you got a job, you got family dynamics, you got to deal with family and relationship with family, because some family members, I know I can speak for myself, but some of my family members was upset with me, angry at me. And it's almost like they think, y'all just think I've been on a long vacation? Like I just come out and everything just normal? Man, I've been traumatized, They treat me like we treated each other before I left the streets, like we can get into a debate or a dispute, and it's like, I'm wrong. How's I'm wrong? And then not only that, it's like they expect me to come home and take care of people. I've been gone for a quarter century. Now I'm supposed to come home and take care of people? Man, I ain't got two nickels to rub together to make a dime. And now y'all expecting me, because that's how I used to be. I used to be somebody that tried to be a provider and, try to help my family in any way that I could. But at this point in my stage in my journey, I can't offer that kind of support and that kind of help. I'm still trying to figure life out. It's a point, that I like to make every time I speak is that I am directionally challenged out here in society. I don't know north from south, east from west. I'm so glad they created this thing called GPS. I call it Gypsy. I never leave home without this thing, because if without this thing, I'm telling you, I can't tell you north from south, and I used to be pretty good with direction, but we was locked in this box of space and time. It was just a square, and I could go this way, that way, northeast, south, or west, and in half a mile. And that was my radiance of my traveling. So when I got out of here, even getting a job, and somebody told me the job was 50 miles away, one way, and I got this job, and I didn't have a car. And they asked, how you going to get to this job? I was going to ride a bike, 50 miles, one way. That's 100 miles a day. I had no concept of distance, This is what I'm saying. These are things that we need to tell people, about what the experience is like for a person who get out of prison after all those years of being wrongfully convicted. And it happens also to people who, committed the crime and when did their time. But at least for those folks, they know, hey, I did it, and I, paid the price, I debt to society. Now I'm gonna get on with my life. But when you're innocent, we lost so much, we lost just way too much, and the loss, is just something you can't replace. You can't replace 20, 30 years for something that, we didn't do. How you going to replace it? You can't compensate that. It's just like somebody saying, okay, man, we'll give you $1 billion. We'll give you $10 billion, but you got to give me your eyes. You got to be kidding. Yeah. I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't give my eyes for no amount of money, but you talking about the whole person, my eyes, my whole body, it's what they took from us. You can't compensate us for that.
And then you lose so much time with your loved ones, and by the time you get out, you estranged from him. But then, like my man, he experienced a lot of death in his family, and he hadn't even had time to spend with his family. So it's like a double loss. He was taken from his family initially, and then when he get out and be around his family, everybody just die around him. So it's like it's a double whammy, and then it's another thing you got to deal with, and then nobody know what you deal with on that level. So it's a lot of stuff that exonerees. And my heart goes out to them, because there's a lot of them we can't talk about now that they've been out for a long time, and they just go to sleep, close their eyes, and see the same thing, and they can't get away from that nightmare. And it's a lot of people that I left in prison, that's still in prison right now, that's innocent, that shouldn't be in prison. So it's a thing where it's like, as much as I get burnt out on we've been doing this for 6 years too, by the way, 6 close to 7 years, and we did it non-stop. So when they talking about dedication, blood, sweat, and tears into a thing, we've been putting everything into miracle of innocence, and all because of somebody else. And because of what we did, other people got their life back, and a lot more other people will get their life back because of it. So this is very, very important to us, and it's a lot of people who need your help. It's a lot of people that still innocent in prison, and we did a lot of speaking engagements. We traveled all around the world speaking and bringing awareness to this cause. It's a lot. And right now we're just talking about the aftercare, but it's another podcast. We were talking about something else. We just covered just the aftercare, just some of the things that exonerees and people who spent a lot of time in prison. And we got horror stories about it too. It's people like, we know people who committed suicide after this, people went back to prison after this. It affects so many different people in so many different ways. How can you not be involved? How can you not do something about it? Like, this is why we're here talking about it now. We could be doing other things in any other place, doing anywhere, right? But we here talking about this once again, bringing attention and awareness to a thing that I think everybody should be aware of, because it happens to anybody. I was a 17-year-old kid, just thinking about going to a party on a Friday night. It was a Friday. I went in on a Friday and got on a Friday. That's funny. I just thought about this. It was a Friday. I went in Friday 15th. I went to prison, and that night, that day I woke up, I was expecting just to go to a party that night. I wasn't thinking I was going to not see the streets again for 23 years. So it can happen to anybody. It just happened to me. So we just want to bring enough awareness to it where people can get involved enough, where it's enough attention on this kind of thing, where people can keep their hand out the cookie jar and play fair when it comes to that legal and justice system, and stop ruining people's lives by locking them up for crime they didn't commit.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Lamont and what he said. He was 17, and I'm just, I remember leaving the streets And my little 17-year-old brother, I had, 3 little brothers when I left. And one of them was about 17, 16, I think 14, 16. Another one may have been 20, 19 and 20. My little brothers. And they frozen in time in my mind. That's the way I last saw them on the streets, that's how I remember them. So when I come home, these grown men, I'm talking about, they got gray hair, beards, and I'm like, man, what happened? It's almost like, and I still want to treat them like they my little 14, 16-year-old brother, and one of them even told me, said, D, man, I'm a grown man, and I had to catch myself, yeah, you're right, man, man, you 40-some years old, but I'm talking to them like they still teenagers. Man, you need to do this here, man. No, don't be doing that, man.
Yeah.
What you up, man? What you doing? You drinking and all that old fun. Man, I'm a grown man. I can drink, man. What's up with you, man? But I totally was forgetting that people, life goes on. I got them frozen in time, and even some of my cousins first cousins. I just lost a first cousin. Like, he was just sharing. I lost 2 brothers and 2 cousins in 3-month period just recently. I didn't get a chance to bond with them, to grow up with them. And, I didn't get a chance to spend a whole lot of time with them. And now they gone. I won't get that chance here, in this life. And so when I go to the funeral, I see these people. It's like a family reunion, but still, I'm still kind of disconnected. It's not like I don't even grieve like I see the rest of them grieving. They grieving, they crying, they falling out. It's almost like I'm viewing a stranger, and I'm saying to myself, man, this is my family, but I don't have that emotional pull and that emotional, tug. I mean, I know it's a loss. It's another loss, but it's not like, because I've been in prison so long, so many people died. I just didn't get a chance to be there, at the funerals. And so it's almost like it's an out-of-body experience. I'm seeing this person that I don't really even know. It's almost like a stranger. I'm at the service of a stranger, and these my relatives, and so those are things, but, that we get it, as people who, gone through this experience, we get a chance to talk about it, but, how can you replace that? What can you do, to even in any kind of way, how can you just take us back, rewind the time, and say, okay, let's do it over? We can't do that. And there's another, situation that's really, it's painful for me. It's one of regret is that he was 17. I was 22. I was a young father when I left. When I left the street, the girl had, a child, my child, and I saw my child just 3 times. She was 7 months. When I come back to society, my daughter was 25 years old. And we was kind of estranged when I got out. The relationship wasn't what I would hope it to be. And I'm hoping now to just start rebuilding some kind of father-daughter relationship with her. But she grew up also in this institution, foster care. So we both was, being punished, as innocent people because of circumstances that just, we didn't create. Someone else created them for us. So my little daughter went through foster care system from the time she was like 10 or 12 years old, graduated high school on time, emancipated herself, but she still, right now, she still struggles, with this father-daughter dynamic because I wasn't in her life. So for her, I'm a stranger to her. I know her because I held in my arm when she was just a baby. But she don't really know me. Sometimes she like to talk to me. Sometimes she don't. And so these are the separation that, that happens between, those of us who got kids when we go to prison. There's one sentence created 2 prisons, not just a prison for me, or 3 prisons. My mother, she was put in prison, my family, my daughter, and my friends, and another thing, I had a real good friend, my best friend. I talk about him in this book, Innocent a Second Look. And every time, that's one person, every time I get to that part of the book, that chokes me up when I read about my friend, my best friend, JR, who was not only my best friend, but he was my alibi. That the lawyers who represented me, the public defender, I call them public pretenders, that's what they was.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that didn't go and get my alibi when I could, show them that I was in another state, in Washington State, when the crime was committed. But it didn't matter. It was just all about convictions. And so, but now we out here, and it's a good thing that we can just, be used to tell these stories, about, the aftercare, what we trying to do to keep going forward, and the work that we keep doing through Miracle of Innocence. This is a crusade for us. Lamont said that we could be doing something else right now, Of course, I'm going to go and watch this game here in a minute. But we could be doing a whole lot of things, but this is something that also is a passion for us. You know, it's close and dear to our hearts because somebody helped us. Somebody came and got us out. So, yeah, we're going to go and help get somebody else out. That's just the way that's how we do it today.